Happy New Year to you all. John and I have been thinking quite a lot about fatigue and rest and recovery over the past couple of weeks, mainly because he got a bit tired.
Had enough today.
We possibly got a little bit too ambitious with the load that he could handle over the past few weeks.
I've not been sleeping very well, and I've had a week off work, and ironically I'm not very good at not being at work. I feel guilty for not going to work, so I wonder if that's had something to do with it. Certainly I felt quite tired this week, but I had a really good interval session on Wednesday, so I still felt rubbish during the interval session, even though the powers were good. So anyway, time for a break next week.
We had a good chat about all this and thinking about how we can get in some of the elements of training that we want to include in order for him to progress and to continue to work towards getting better on these climbs, as we discussed in the last video, whilst still getting enough rest. And we've decided that the way to do this is to not do the same thing every week. Instead of working on something that repeats over 7 days, you work over something that repeats more over 14 days. We still want to include some VO2 max work, and we still want to include these longer hillier rides in addition to the Randonneur Round the Year. So the way we're going to do that is on the Wednesdays, we're just going to do the VO2 max on alternate Wednesdays to enable us to get some training stimulus but to get a little bit of rest. And then on alternate Saturdays, we're going to do some functional threshold power workouts. So he's still got one hard workout a week, one of which is a bit longer but a little bit less intense, and the other which is more intense. Sandwiched in between those, there will be a longer hilly route, and there'll of course be the Randonneur Round the Year. What this means is that your traditional, what you might call a rest week, is not going to be spanning Monday to Sunday. It's going to start before his Randonneur Round the Year. He's going to have a little bit of a taper so that he can be fresh and ready for his 200Ks. He's going to have a little bit of a rest to recover after those so that he's then ready to do his VO2 max workout on the Wednesday. Rest is a key element to training. It's the only way that you can make the adaptations that you need to make. It's important so that you avoid overtraining, because the first step to overtraining is not taking enough rest. It really is about experimenting with what works for you and not being afraid to take more rest. As endurance athletes, we don't tend to tolerate rest very well. We think that if we're not training, then we're not getting fitter. And the reality is that if we don't take some rest, we're definitely not getting fitter. We're just getting more and more tired. But it's a difficult balance, and that's why it's sometimes useful to talk it over with an objective other who's got some experience in the field and can maybe give you some ideas. And also someone who is good at recognising some fatigue signals that might suggest that things aren't going quite as they ought to do, and that maybe we need to change. It's important to check in with how you're feeling and change things. Be open to changing things if you need to.